I suppose after today's news, you could say it takes two to tango. Dude, I can't believe this news. This is surreal. Look, in a year full of closures and layoffs happening borderline weekly, we needed a massive W, and we got one in what is the most unfathomable W where Tango Gameworks has lived. They have survived the studio closure by Microsoft. They will continue on under Krafton. And I'm still processing this. Like, I can't wrap my head around this because we're starting to enter this almost like trade deadline era in the games industry where we're seeing, for example, Square Enix trade their whole Western division over to the Embracer Group. We're seeing Xbox trade a whole on team over to Krafton. And I can definitely say this is the better alternative than watching teams completely disappear and IP completely disappear. Because not only will Tango live on, Hi-Fi Rush will live on. The Evil Within, we'll talk about it. But ladies and gentlemen, this is incredible news. And if there's one thing we can all agree on, it's great to have Tango back again. So starting off at the top, the news broke on my end from Jez Corden, where he posted an article on Windows Central titled, "Former Xbox studio Tango Gameworks and Hi-Fi Rush have been acquired by PUBG's Krafton Inc., saving it from closure. Tango Gameworks will live on as Microsoft reaches an agreement with Krafton to maintain the studio. Krafton Inc., known for PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, has fully acquired Tango Gameworks from Microsoft as well as the rights to Hi-Fi Rush. Krafton Inc. today welcomed the talented people of Tango Gameworks to their team, marking an exciting moment in the company's global expansion and its first significant investment in the Japanese video game market," the press release reads. This strategic move will include the rights to Tango Gameworks' acclaimed IP, Hi-Fi Rush. So they saw something here. That means no Ghostwire Tokyo. That means no Evil Within. Those are staying with Xbox. Now, we can use nuance here. It's either they didn't want to pony up because it would have cost them more than what they thought Tango and their respective IPs were worth, or the possibility is that Xbox has some sort of plan moving down the road for the Evil Within. To me, I don't think that there is an Evil Within without Tango. I could maybe see Ghostwire going somewhere else because it's first person and Xbox has a plethora of first person talent beneath their entire banner. But when it comes to the Evil Within, like, I know this whole conversation will be focused on Hi-Fi Rush. Don't get me wrong, we'll talk about it. But man, I love that franchise, and I would have loved to see it go over to Krafton as well, just to know that it would likely get some use. Because to me, this gets thrown in the bin of IP that Xbox owns right now that I just can't see them using. Like, I just can't. And maybe Krafton also didn't find value in them because we do have two Evil Within games. We know the sales diminished over time. The first one did all right. The second one didn't do as well. So maybe there's just no value there to them. Where Hi-Fi Rush, it's possible they looked at that and saw something. Of course, there was the massive outcry in the games industry to save this team, to save this IP. So there is a massive optical win here for Krafton. But of course, money talks, numbers talk. And I wonder if Xbox's definition of success in the market is very different from what Krafton defines it as. This is their first major investment in the Japanese video game market, and I think it's a damn good one. For Xbox, they've been targeting the Japanese market. And as I've said time in, time out, this was the most baffling decision to let them go, to shut them down. I understand that there were maybe language barrier issues there when it came to working internally with these teams, and it was difficult to resource out additional help, but man, it sucked to see them go from the Xbox family. But more importantly for gamers, it is really awesome to see them living on here because they are such an important team. But continuing on, we have more here. In a statement to Windows Central, a Microsoft spokesperson shared the following, quote, "We're working with Krafton to enable the team at Tango Gameworks to continue to build games together, and we look forward to playing their next great game. There will be no impact to the existing catalog of Tango games." So one thing I am wondering here is, will a partnership spawn from this? One thing we saw is when Xbox acquired Activision Blizzard, they did have Toys for Bob, which there were at first rumors that they were going to get shut down, but then they went independent and entered into a partnership with Microsoft to remain independent while still making content for their platform. Now, it's assumed that is a Spyro game because of all of the purple branding that's been covering Toys for Bob. But point being is, I wonder if we're going to see a partnership between Krafton and Xbox when it comes to Hi-Fi Rush. I think that is a bit of wishful thinking here. If Xbox saw value in it, well, they kind of owned it. But again, they also own Toys for Bob and saw it more valuable to both teams to be like, hey, go independent and we'll partner up with you instead. So maybe there's something there. The hilarious idea, frankly, is that now that Krafton kind of calls the shots with this IP, there's every possibility that PlayStation could swoop in and get an exclusivity deal. Nintendo could swoop in and get an exclusivity deal. Like, this was a big Xbox exclusive. It went multi-plat. I think the plan should be to continue it multi-plat. But I also think a bit of how Octopath Traveler worked, where games can just be really weird. Like, the first one was just on Switch and then came to Xbox. And then the second one was on PlayStation and Switch, and it never came to Xbox until very recently. So, yeah, gaming can be weird. These are all behind closed doors meetings we're never privy to, but I do wonder about that sort of thing. My hope, my guess is this will remain multi-platform, but it's good food for thought here. We have more here from a press release by Krafton where they say, as part of this strategic agreement, Krafton intends to collaborate with Xbox and ZeniMax to ensure a smooth transition and maintain continuity at Tango Gameworks, allowing the talented team to continue developing the Hi-Fi Rush IP and explore future projects. Krafton intends to support the Tango Gameworks team to continue its commitment to innovation and delivering fresh and exciting experiences for fans. There will be no impact on the existing game catalog of The Evil Within, The Evil Within 2, Ghostwire Tokyo, and the original, interesting choice of words there, Hi-Fi Rush game. This integration reinforces Krafton's dedication to expanding its global footprint and enhancing its portfolio with innovative and high-quality content. The addition of Tango Gameworks represents a strategic alignment with Krafton's mission to push the boundaries of interactive entertainment. So yeah, they're also looking at future IP, but kind of what this confirms is what we already knew based on leaks and reports that had happened, which was that a Hi-Fi Rush 2 pitch was being planned. I imagine with their investment in this team and their continuation of focusing on Hi-Fi Rush, exclusively mentioning this multiple times, that they want a Hi-Fi Rush 2 as badly as we do, which is really great to see. So shout out to Krafton for pretty much making this one happen with their own two hands. That's really exciting. But otherwise here, looking at the memo, I think the best news that people aren't talking about beyond the games is that they're going to try to retain all of the talent at Tango Gameworks. You've heard me say it a million times before, but I'm not going to stop saying it because I just think it continues to ring true, which is we cannot afford to continue to mistreat and lose talent in this industry. So it's really good to see, and obviously I'm not going to fool myself. This isn't like just some pure act of benevolence. It's just a highly beneficial move to all involved. But no doubt it's good to see that very talented individuals in a Japanese development team are not going to lose their jobs, especially when they just hit the curve. One thing that's been overstated and continues to be overstated because it's damn true is that Tango had just hit their stride with a game like Hi-Fi Rush. Previously, they were known for horror-like experiences, and frankly, I enjoyed them quite a bit. I love the first Evil Within. Still to this day, it's one of my favorite survival horror games. The Evil Within 2 is also pretty great, reminds me a little bit more of The Last of Us, but it's got some awesome level design, some awesome moments there. It's a little more of a personal journey. I like it a lot. And then you had Ghostwire Tokyo, which I have very little experience with, but it's different. All of these, though, fall into the horror pocket. So when Hi-Fi Rush showed up, and it's this rhythmic action game, it was unbelievable. And the fact that it was so good was perhaps more unbelievable. Not as an insult to the talent there, but more so because it just didn't fit the company DNA. And that's what makes games so fun. The unpredictability of who's working on it and what this team can come together to make. Like a team that was farming talent for survival horror games suddenly shows up with one of the best action rhythm games that rivals like Devil May Cry. It's insane. So just to know that that franchise has been saved, like for me, it was in my top 10 games of the year last year, is so exciting. But for me, more so than anything, is to know that the workers in our industry that make these games happen are being preserved as well. The team's being preserved. They're not being like renamed or changed or gutted or anything like that, at least as of this point in time, is just a real relief to see. This is an important move here, especially when you look at in light of what happened with Bungie. I know a kind of similar thing happened there where they spun out some talent that was originally going to be fired from Bungie and took the IP with them and basically formed a new PlayStation team there. So this does happen. It's happening more because I think even higher ups are starting to realize we can't continue to just piss away talent, or eventually there's going to be no one to fill those gaps. So yeah, just absolutely incredible news. Like I just am over the moon to know that Tango's going to be hanging around. Hi-Fi Rush is going to be hanging around. Hopefully we see some action with Evil Within. Selfishly, I would love to see more of that. Maybe that's where a partnership with Xbox does strike up a bit more. Like, hey, we want to work on this. You have the past relationship there, so maybe they can link up and work on something. But otherwise, it's just good to know this team continues on. And anytime I read this headline, like, it's surreal. I'm like, this is possible. This can happen. Incredible stuff. So, ladies and gentlemen, those are my thoughts with how Tango Gameworks is being saved. It's absolutely incredible. I'd love to hear your thoughts down below. Fire away. Other than that, take excellent care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next video. Stay sexy, stay active. I love you all. Peace.